Um, Hello and welcome to SQL's mapping webinar, focusing on the basics of VegMachine and Forage. I'd just like to quickly ask everybody keep their mic and camera off just to save their own internet. This is part of our GrazingFutures project with the Queensland Government, which aims to improve drought preparedness and resilience for Queensland producers. Before we start, I would just like to quickly pay respects to the traditional owners of both Queensland and Australia as a whole. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to type them in the chat. I probably will not have time to answer them, but Alan Hoggart from our Toowoomba office is helping run the webinar, so he might be able to help. The most common questions will be answered in a group email sent out this afternoon, or if we do have time for questions, Alan will let me know, or I might read them in the chat and I'll try my best to answer them. The main reason to use the two programs we're covering, VegMachine and Forage, is that VegMachine is a great way to see changes in ground cover. It's a bit of a one-trick pony, but it does that trick very well. And Forage can generate a bunch of helpful reports with just the lot and plan details. These reports can cover stuff like drought assessment, long-term carrying capacity, and rainfall and pasture growth by land type. So I just want to make sure, because now I'm paranoid. Is everyone hearing me all right?
You. Yes.
Thank you, Alan, for confirming. All right, so I'm back up to where I realised I was muted. So I'll just zoom in the chart level so I can load a bit quicker. As you can see, it's already got this lot and plan layer on. You might recognise it if you were part of our Queensland Globe webinar yesterday. Unlike Queensland Globe, this is just the hybrid layer that it lists. So this is about it. I can't add in like the lot and plan number or the property name. It's just this. And like Queensland Globe, what I can do is go map function, search for location, and then do search by lot and plan, and then just see, you can, it also has a memory, so I can remember lot and plans you've searched for before. So we'll just do this one, search. And yep, there we go. It took a second, but see, it's snapped to it here. And again, harking back to yesterday's one, it hasn't highlighted the lot and plan like it would with Queensland Globe. So it can be a bit confusing, but if you know the layout of your lot and plan, you can figure it out whether or not it's gotten it right. So you still have to draw in the boundary. So we'll get here to the, what is it? I'll get out of it so it's got a name. The draw a polygon tool, click that and you'll get the options finish, delete point, delete last point and cancel. So from that, you just start clicking. Now, it is really tempting, because I've made this mistake many times. You can just you will assume you can just click and drag these boxes around. You really can't. You can click and drag and it'll move the screen around and also add a point. But if you see here, when I've tried to click and drag that box, all I've done is just add an extra box right next to it. So you can't really edit a shape while drawing it. You have to use this delete last point and basically take a step back. So if I just, I've also made a mistake there. So I'll just try and do this super quickly. You can zoom in pretty far. So if you're a real stickler for getting everything perfect, you can zoom in close and get it done perfectly. It does cause the shading of the box to freak out a bit, but that can be, it'll fix itself when you zoom out. So if I just quickly draw boundary of that shape and then click finish, and that's there. So it's marked as polygon 1, and if it'll have this white shading because it hasn't been selected, but if you click on it, if you click on it, it'll go mostly transparent, and that'll let you know that it's been selected. Right, so now that we've got this polygon here, it isn't a necessity to do it, but I thought we'd cover it at the beginning. What you can do is you go over here and this is your little layers tab, and you've got a bunch of these layers. The one you'll most likely be using fairly regularly is the ground cover one. So if we just turn that on, give it a second to load, you'll see it's all changed colors. And down here, it might be a bit hard to read, but you've got a pyramid. So red is bare, green, that's green, blue is NG, non-green. So this is different types of cover. So bare, obviously no cover. Green, obviously green cover. Non-green cover is a bit of an intermediate thing. So that the satellite that does the reading basically reads non-green cover as, I can identify it's not bare ground, but I can't call it green. So it can be dead trees. It could be just be alive trees that aren't exactly that green. So I know a lot of areas that have pretty dense mulga, even if the mulga is healthy, it can sometimes show up as non-green due to just the color of mulga. And now that we've done that, we can show off the next thing. So when I was talking about, you can see the changes in ground cover with VegMachine. It has this really neat tool where you can basically have a time lapse of the area. So I'll just bump this up to 1 frame per second, which means it's going to show one slide or like picture a second. And then I'll just bump this back to when I was born. So it can't do monthly, but it can do seasonal. So I was born in winter of 1997. And as you can see, it was a pretty wet winter there, a lot of green on that map. And then we hit play, and that will slowly transition to the seasons. You'll see sometimes it has areas where there's either this colouring isn't there, just like there, or it's just completely gone. That can be caused by any kind of error. The most common one is cloud cover. So sometimes when doing it, you may come across just like a blotch that doesn't have the colouring, and yeah, like that. That would be cause of cloud cover. So I'll just pause that there, and now we'll get back to what the polygon can do. So just to clarify, this slideshow of the map, I don't need to draw a polygon for that. You can just pick a spot, set it to ground cover, and then watch a slideshow. But now that we've got the polygon selected, we go over to interactive analysis, single polygon, ground cover. And it'll take a second to think, but what it will do is generate this graph. So this graph here is, oh, sorry, I just saw someone's asking, is mapping live from a satellite? It is not live. So if I put it all the way forward, the most recent time it's taken an image and processed it is spring 2020. So whatever is the furthest right on that slider is its most recent image. And I think on, yeah, so on this graph here, or here, it'll give you the month that it took the image for, but not the date. So this graph here is from 1988 January to 2020 October. And as you can see, it records the changes via like percentile. So in 1992, bare ground 40, green 5, whatever. There are gaps in it, but those are from those, remember those blank spots we saw in that colored map over here? Those are what those blank spots are. Sometimes if it's missing data from the polygon and it's not too bad, it will still give a reading, but if it's pretty big blotches, you'll end up with these little blank readings here. You may have noticed down here is a rain gauge. Now the rain gauge goes by month, which can make it pretty confusing. So May, it doesn't really line up, but if I go to July here, it will tell me rain 3 mil and then give the readings for July. So also down here, you've got the legend. If you click on them, it'll get rid of them. So they got rid of the rain gauge. And, you know, if I click on non-green, non-green's gone, total cover, rid of total cover. So the total cover covers both green and non-green. So the total cover doesn't necessarily mean a live cover, because as I said earlier, non-green cover also includes stuff like dead trees or like dead bushes and stuff. Just give me a second. So now that we've got that, what we do is we go down to reports and we click on forage here. So the reason it has forage there is that it uses a similar engine to forage, which we'll be covering shortly, to generate a report. So it gives you these options for report type. The one that is most helpful is probably VegMachine regional comparison. The foliage protective cover might be helpful to you, but the ground cover one here really isn't, because this one will just be a report on your ground cover. The regional comparison will compare it to I've written it down here, a comparison of similar land types in a 25k radius. So what that'll do is that'll let you know whether or not you've just gotten like lucky with rain, and that'll let you know the difference between your area just got lucky with rain and what you're doing doesn't necessarily help, compared to, you know, if you're doing fantastically and everyone around you is not doing that well, you know that your pasture management or like rejuvenation works are doing well. So the way it works is you just put in your email, give it a label. So Croxdale webinar, submit, and there you go. So what'll happen is in about, I think I timed it once, it's about 15 to 20 minutes, I'll get an email of that report. A report which looks like, just need to get it up. Oh, lost it. Give me a second. Here we go. So if I just scroll up to the top, so this is what your VegMachine regional comparison will look like. So it just gives you a picture of that. And now what's really good about the VegMachine reports is they start off with this big introduction of what to do with this information and just step by step how to read the map. It is all very well laid out, diagrams explaining what means what. So they've even got like examples here, and I'll just scroll through all this, and then you've got your actual report here, and as you can see, it's got the land types, so which is very helpful to know, and then it will break it down by land type. So what these graphs mean is, give me a second. When it says like well above here, it means that you are well above the average percentile of your region. So you've got, if you see that faint line there, that is basically the average of ground cover for soft mulga in the area. And then you've got the upper bit and then the well above. So when it's got this little blue triangle, that's when it's gone into the light blue triangle, that's gone into the above. And same with on the other, I think, where was it? There was one here that was very bad. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying not to explain too much of the report, but yeah. And then you've got more explanation of as it gets to this part here, where it explains the summary of ground cover for paddocks. So very helpful report, and like I said, since it compares it to the region, you will be able to figure out whether or not what you're doing is, you know, correct. Right, so I believe that's all for VegMachine, so let's head on to Forage. Now, when searching for Forage, what you do is you'd search Forage long paddock, because if you just search Forage, you'll end up getting a bunch of stuff that is about, you know, foraging, but not the actual website. So VegMachine and Forage are both Queensland Government supported websites, but since Forage is part of Long Paddock, it's a lot more blatant about being part of the Queensland Government. So as some of you may have noticed instantly, they're now offering a long-term carrying capacity report. It's still in the prototype stages, so maybe not base business decisions on it, but if you're planning to update your long-term carrying capacity, feel free to just generate this report, do your new carrying capacity and just compare the two. So this one is incredibly straightforward. So you just pick a report. So the reports, as you can see, big list. The ones you're most likely to be using are, as I was just mentioning there, the long-term carrying capacity report, the pasture growth alert report, which assesses reduced pasture growth and pasture resilience risk for your property. The rain and pasture by, rain and pasture by land type for recent and historical rainfall, pasture growth and pasture ground cover for individual land types. And down here, drought assessment arranges multiple diagnostic maps for a shire/regional council and adjoining regions. There is erodible soils. I'm not sure how much that covers because I haven't actually played around with it yet. But just before this webinar, it was highlighted to me that may be of interest to some people, but I can't give you a lot of information on that one. But what we'll do is we'll just select the erodible soils, go to specify location using lot and plan, and we'll just enter the same one as we did for VegMachine. So 3SP 2438. Hold on, I'll just give it a second. So as you can see, it's got this little automatic search bar. So you can know how close you're getting to the right answer. So here you go. And if it is an option like there, that's how you know you've got a correct, like an existing lot and plan. And then it'll zoom in, highlight the lot and plan. Now, I'm not sure if you can do multiple lots and plans, but what we can do is I'll try it out now and let you guys know via the follow-up email whether or not I've gotten anything. Just wait and see if I've written in that right. Okay, yep. And then now you get down to here. Just quickly, it didn't come up for erodible soils, but I know it comes up for rainfall and pasture. This option here. So a good thing about Forage is for certain reports, you can have a subscription service, a free one. So the way it works, it's written there, but the way it works is that you can set it to resend you the updated reports at a set timeline. So you can get it a one-off, you can get one every month, 2 months, 3 months. Now, the way it works is if I put it in now, I'm not going to be getting an erodible soils one every 3 months. Since as you saw before, when it was just erodible soils, this wasn't an option. But what would probably end up happening is with the subscription service, if I set it to 3 months, every 3 months, I'd get a rainfall and pasture by land type and maybe the same erodible soils report, or maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't think so, since as you could see with the erodible soils, it wasn't an option. So now we've got that. We just go down, like VegMachine, enter our email. Now it'll ask for a label, but if I go it doesn't like special characters or spaces, so just keep it as Croxdale, submit, and report saved successfully. So what it's done is it's sent off a request, and much like the VegMachine, I will eventually get those reports. Now, what I do have is, give me a second, just got to bring it up. There it is. That is the wrong one. Hold on, it has gone missing. So sorry, everything's just opening up on the wrong screen. So here's an example. So this is for the long-term carrying capacity report for Croxdale. So what it'll do is it'll send you, for this one at least, you'll get the email with the attached report in a PDF file. But since this is a carrying capacity one, it's got, Excel's files containing, paddock level carrying capacity numbers, and another file containing paddock numbers versus land type. So that's what those files there are. But if I open up the actual report, so yeah, so the summaries up here, it's similar to the VegMachine one, but it doesn't have the like the introduction and the explanation at the start. So it can be a bit harder to follow because it doesn't necessarily explain everything right away. So again, you'll see written everywhere is like prototype because, like I said, they're still trialing this. So if you do have it and do have some issues, please let Forage know, because I've talked to the people who were implementing this long-term carrying capacity report, and they're very eager to find out how well it works. Just give me 1 second. I will try and bring up the chat menu again because it's gone. Here we go. So as you can see, it's got the modelled safe stocking rate for the area and then the estimated long-term carrying capacity. So so you'll have, it explains the graphs, but much like VegMachine, not as much detail. It'll also talk about historic rainfall, stuff like that. So I'll just quickly scroll through so you can just see it covers quite a bit. Now, the issue is it always breaks it down to lot and plan. So if you have, so I've just gotten those reports emailed through that I've asked for from Forage and VegMachine, just to give you an idea of how quick it can respond. So with this long-term carrying capacity report, it took a few hours, like most of a day, for it to get back to me. But yeah, so quick scroll through, and then it gets down to property land types of the area. Now, it's got, if you remember from the VegMachine one, this one has a lot more detailed land types. So the VegMachine one didn't mention hard mulga. I'm not sure the reason for this. It might be just slightly different tweaking on the auto report way, how it classifies certain land types. I'm not sure. And then folders protective cover. So just quickly, I'll get back to Forage. Some of you may have noticed when I was down in this list, it also does a regional comparison ground cover report. So I'll just quickly go through that so you can see the difference. So this is the Forage ground cover regional comparison report. It's slightly more detailed than the VegMachine one, but it's a lot less simple. So as I was talking before, the land types are slightly different. So you'll see here, it mentions hard mulga, but in the VegMachine one, if I just scroll up to where it had the, there it is. See, in this one, it basically classifies it as being open alluvium plains, soft mulga, wooded alluvium plains. But here, it's got hard mulga, soft mulga, and open alluvium plains, and then all other land types. So they do have a slightly different way of categorizing land types, but I'm not sure how much that will affect what you get out of the report. And then same thing. So just quickly, what it means by percentile here is that's the top branch of like the top 95 and 80% ground cover, and that's the 80% fit. give me a quick second. So here, this percentile would be the people that had the top 50 to 80% scoring rate. I think that's how it is. Damn it. Never mind. I've written down how to describe percentile, but I can't read my own handwriting. So again, very similar to the VegMachine one, but just a bit more in depth and slightly different. So yeah. So basically with percentile ranges, what I was trying to explain is 80 to 95 is best, and then decent side of average, lower side of average, bad is the easiest way to describe it. So the reason it blotches out here is that was like the bottom 5% here, and then the top 20% there, and then like, yeah. And then it just goes, so it's a bit longer, but yeah, a bit more detailed. So just give me a quick question. Quick second. So I'll just go back to the Forage website quickly. So with Forage, there isn't exactly a help button, but if you go to the Forage tab here, you can get awareness videos and webinar videos. So the awareness videos are basically videos on specific reports. So you've got long-term carrying capacity and how these can help, how Forage can help you do certain things. The webinars are pretty similar. They're just much longer. So you got one that's solely about to assist land management decision making. One thing I did forget to cover was, if I just go back to VegMachine, is VegMachine's help option. So it's up here in the top right, click help, and you'll get just some commonly asked questions here. But if you go to the left and click on manual, it'll automatically start downloading a PDF file of the manual. Now, certain computers, it may ask you for permission to download it, but yeah, so this manual is step by step how to do everything. It explains every function. It is very straightforward and very, very helpful. If you're ever lost, just open this manual up and you'll be able to figure out what's going on, unless there's some kind of glitch with the website or the specific satellite imagery or some stuff you're trying to get. It should be able to help you. So if I go back to help, they've also got YouTube channel, which just takes you to the YouTube channel with a bunch of tutorial videos. So I'll just shut all that down. And that is about it for VegMachine and Forage. I'll just quickly go through my notes, make sure I haven't missed anything. And, oh, just quickly, the subscription service for Forage, I don't know if they're going to be bringing in something similar for the long-term carrying capacity report in the future. They may, but at the moment, if I just get it open, it's not available because it's in the prototype stage. So I'll just go through chat, just see if there's any more questions before we finish up. In VegMachine, can you enter more than one lot and plan on the same time? That's a good question, Louise. So if we go back to here, you can enter multiple polygons, but it can only generate a report for one specific polygon. So what I'll do is, I'll go back to chart level because I'm in the chart level office, so I know the area. I'll just zoom in. So if I decided to just go, damn it, I'll just make this quick, real ugly looking. So I'll just cut that paddock in half and then I'll add in another one up here. And then let's do middle one as well. So if we go, what is it? Interactive analysis, single polygon, ground cover. So I haven't selected any of them, so I'm interested to see what happens. I think it'll just give me an error message. So I'm not sure if that's for all the polygons or just one, because I've set it to single polygon. But there is a polygon comparison tool, but last time I checked, that one breaks fairly regularly. So if I do report forage, so last time I tried this, it had an error and didn't work, but it may have either been a fix or it's something it's never been intended to do. But once I've gotten that report, I will let you guys know via the follow-up email whether or not doing the comparison report for multiple polygons work. Because like I said, I'm not sure because this just says single polygon ground cover. So I don't know which polygon it's measuring because I didn't select any of them before I did this one. Same thing with the forage one. Well, with the forage report, I selected all three, so I'm not sure. Right, that's about it. So like I said, I will be sending a follow-up email, which is just a quick thank you for coming along. It'll include a link to the feedback survey, which is an important part of the GrazingFutures project, which is funding this webinar. So if you could please fill it out and be as honest as possible, that'd be greatly appreciated. Also, like I keep repeating, your survey wouldn't work. That is interesting because it's whenever I've checked, it's worked for me, but I will fill it out myself just to see if it's working or if it's broken. Yeah, as I keep repeating, in that follow-up email, I will answer the question of if you can do a VegMachine report for multiple lot and plans, and yeah, the other questions. So, all right, thank you for attending, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. All right, thank you.